The following is an official lore video of the Dark Diaspora Universe, a journey in world-building project.
Marisa warmed her hands to the fire of her homestead's central hearth. The planet Vicinity was about to enter the deep winter, where its elliptical orbit pushed the planet's already snow-blasted, Arctic-style climate to the brink of being utterly uninhabitable. Yet, Marisa was not concerned, for her homestead was sturdy and her ranch well-placed to weather the long, dark, cold months. The subterranean stores of the ranch were overflowing with frozen Vendeer steaks and the carbo-rich tubers harvested during the brief spring thaw. Firewood supplies were ample, and the precious herd was protected from the elements with a warm and sturdy barn. All of this was thanks to the hard work and arduous toil of Marisa's 3 husbands. Marisa stood up from the chair with much effort. Her belly grew fuller and rounder by the day. She had been eager to start a family, knowing that it was her duty, as the matriarch of the ranch, to bear forth future generations. She hoped for a girl, prayed for it in fact, to the druidic gods made manifest in the towering trees and wild beasts of Vicinity. It was, however, highly unlikely. For whatever reason, ancient chaos magics held sway over the world of Vicinity and had decreed that female children were to be a rare blessing. Only 1 in 5 children born on Vicinity were female. For any society, this would have represented an existential threat. Yet, perhaps the ancient gods of the frozen tundra and jagged icy cliffs had foreseen the catastrophic fate that many of the settlers would ultimately face. For the task of taming the world was so dangerous that only half of males born ever lived to see 20, and less than a quarter reached the ripe old age of 50. As Marisa moved over to the frosted glass window of her kitchen, she surveyed the frenzy of activity in the main yard of the ranch. Here she witnessed her 3 husbands working in concert, making last-minute repairs and securing critical supplies during the increasingly short Vicinity days. She rested her hand on her swollen stomach and smiled. Her husbands were good men. They toiled for her and for each other to build a life in the icy wastes of Vicinity, and she was determined to give each of them a real family. Her first husband, Ronan, was the closest thing she had to a true love. He was a tall man, muscular and hardy, born from a healthy bloodline back in the town of Ridgeway. While Vicinity cared not for romance and love, such feelings being superfluous to the grand challenge of survival, Marisa found her heart flutter by his broad shoulders, kind eyes, and cheeky humor. So it took little convincing and minimal dowry from Ronan's mother for Marisa to take him as her first husband. With a duly issued writ of occupancy from the matriarchs of the Regional Co-op Council and subsidized building supplies, Marisa and Ronan cast themselves into the wilds, hand in hand, in search of a new home. That initial year was the most grueling, particularly in the first deep winter. With only makeshift shelter, Marisa and Ronan put their very lives on the line for the hope of a better tomorrow. And resolute determination and each other's love saw the young couple weather the biting squalls and swirling snowstorms, and eventually raise their ranch homestead. With a real home established, their odds of survival became marginally better. And this encouraged Marisa to add her second husband to the group, Matthias. The youngest son of a nearby ranch mother, he was quick-witted, fair of face, scrappy, and hard-working, and he and Ronan soon struck up something of a friendship. When Marisa asked him to marry her, Matthias readily accepted, overwhelmed with relief that the deadly fate that befell most young male children, that of isolation, would not come to pass for him. And Matthias quickly proved himself an asset to the ranch. Soon, wild herds of ven deer were wrangled and penned, while lumbering Rorschach beasts were tamed and put to work, plowing the frozen dirt and helped expand the homestead further. Then there was Marissa's third husband. It was almost a year to the day when Jackson had collapsed on the edge of death at the door of the homestead. Lost in the wilds during a hunt gone awry, his Rorschach beast led him far astray in the ensuing blizzard. Feeling as though his presence had been ordained by fateful spirits, Marisa welcomed the young man into her home and later into her bed, and the ranch was suddenly home to 4. And very soon, it would be 5. As she felt her unborn child kick against her resting hands, she smiled to herself. She honestly didn't know which of her husbands was the biological father. It could have been any of them, and a part of her preferred it that way. For as she looked out at the 3 men in her lives, Marissa's heart was filled with contentment. In a very real way, all 3 would be the child's father, caring for the infant and vesting it to all their love and hope for the future. And no matter what the child proved to be, girl or boy, Marisa knew it would be blessed to have 3 of the best fathers for which anyone could hope.